take a step back, sit on our hands as traders, and wait. Just wait. When the bears take control of the market, you gotta let them have it for a while, because in order for them to turn around bullish movement, they have to bring a ton of weight with them. If you're not prepared to deal with that type of weight, then get out of the way and let the bears play. That's what we like to say. Yo, welcome to The Long and Short. Maestro here with your daily crypto TA and market analysis, and boy, it looks very bloody out here today. Whew. On this channel, we give opinions on crypto news and events, give in-depth technical analysis and tutorials on how to trade the crypto markets, no matter if you're a scalper or if you're a long-term hodler. Please like if you're in the crypto fight, subscribe if you're with the vibe, share if you care, and hit the bell if you need direct mail. Let's go ahead and get to the money. Well, not very much money to be made in this market today unless you are shorting trades. And I will say that with firm conviction. I think we are in a bear market. The bears have control. They are not letting up. And I think the uncertainty is what's driving this factor right now. The Fed is coming out later this week with some news. Everyone's anticipating that. And the markets are reacting to it, right? I think that you're seeing a full-on flush of crypto at this point. Everything from the highest cryptos to the lowest market cap cryptos are taking a hit. I did say in the past that once the market cap hits 1.8 trillion, we may start to go into a bear market, right? It hit that level. It stayed under that level. A lot of people were talking about a bounce. There was no real reason for a bounce to happen. The buyers aren't here, guys. No one has any conviction on which way the market's going to go. No expert's going to be able to tell you which way the market's going to go. All of the news and the people, the talking heads there are confused. YouTubers are confused. Everyone's confused about which way this market's going to go. I still think that you still have some room to the downside. Okay, but there are buyers here at these levels, and we're going to take a deeper look into this today on a different chart. We're actually going to be using trading lights today, and I think that this is probably one of the best tools you can use if you're trying to find out where the bottom is, where the floor is, because this tool here allows you to see where orders are sort of stacking. And when you apply some technical analysis to this, some common sense to this, it can give you levels that you may not really be seeing on your charts based on different types of TA that you're doing, right? So we're going to take a look at a number of different coins today with this tool and dive deeper into this to understand where the bottom may be and where the support levels may be and how price may react to these levels. Also where we may be getting rejected, okay? Because it's also important to understand any up movements in price right now are going to see hard pushes back down, okay? Until the market straightens itself out. So let's jump into the heat map. So everything looks red. Pretty simple to see here. Fear and greed index is sitting at 13. Yesterday it was at 11, which is pretty low. Everyone says buy when the fear and greed index is at 10, 11, 13, right? I would say that these are still relatively good areas to buy, but you may see some drawdown in your trade, okay? Just generally speaking, that's what you may see across the board when it comes to crypto. There is still some room to run for things, especially like Ethereum, right? Some of the meme coins, but everything is being hit. All right, let's take a look at the news to see what's been hit the hardest. Solana slides 17% to lead losses amid crypto market plunge. Solana has a lot of issues with their network right now, guys, and I think some people may be losing faith, okay? The entire basis of a crypto project needs to be working technology. If the technology isn't working, guys, and people are losing money left and right to different scammers on your network, that's a problem, all right? And overall, I think that when it comes to crypto, guys, there's just too many scammers in the space. There's too many scams in the space. There's no regulation here, so these guys can run rampant and wild in this space. People have to be a lot smarter with what they allocate their real funds to. You can't put everything into one bucket here, guys. You have to spread your wealth around in order for you to have some sort of diversification here. People focus too much wealth in one place, and then when that market sector takes a hit, all of a sudden everything goes out of the window for you and everyone's in a loss. Okay, that's why all of the social media is negative around crypto right now. People are putting up memes about working at McDonald's again. Understand your landscape and where you are, and that will help you make better investment decisions. Major cryptocurrencies fell as much as 17% 24 hours. Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market cap, fell to under 33.7 at the time of writing after trading above 34,000 in the Asian morning hours. Tokens of Solana were down 17%, changing hands at 84.17. Data from analytics tool CoinGecko showed down 67% from its all-time high, 42% lower than last Monday. Okay, so Solana's taking a real major hit right now, guys, and I think the network has part to do with that. Similar losses were seen on Ether, tokens of Cardano, Polkadot, Binance Coin, which fell nearly 10% each in the past 24 hours. Dogecoin fell 7% in the same period, amongst the smallest declines of the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Monday's drop caused a plunge in broader crypto market, over $240 million in liquidation since Asian morning hours. Liquidations on Bitcoin futures, which reached their lowest price level since July 24th, exceeded $63 million at the time of writing. Losses on altcoin futures were smaller. Solana futures seeing 5 million liquidations and XRP futures just 2.15 million in liquidations. Nearly 81% of all traders were long, betting on higher prices, as some technical indicators suggested Bitcoin was oversold and a price rally could be expected. Which indicators were those, guys? Well, you may have heard news about the RSI being overextended. I'm going to say it again, and I'll yell it from the rafters and the mountains and wherever else I need to yell it from. These indicators will not give you proper reversal indications, guys. The RSI is not going to tell you when price turns around, okay? It's a relative strength indicator, okay? What it does is it takes previous price action. So all of the up and down is calculated inside of that RSI. It's not going to tell you when price is turning around. You want to know where price is turning around? Look for the major levels of previous support or imbalance, or places in price where it visited before and reversed before, okay? If your RSI is reading oversold at these type of levels, okay, then yeah, it makes sense, okay? If the RSI is reading oversold at 30, it makes sense to buy, okay? Not at 35, guys. What else is really holding us up here at 35, right? We can take a look at a few levels, but think about this practically. If the RSI is reading go, that doesn't mean go. That's all I have to say about that. Some observers point out that this is a worrying signal suggesting further market declines, as we have not seen a final capitulation. Without capitulation, the markets will remain with an overhang of sellers. Events are developing in a bearish scenario, so far broadly repeating what we saw in 2018 in terms of the overall sentiment. Yes, we are in a bear market, guys. Sorry to say it. It's going to be hard for some people to admit it, but we are in a bear market. It may be brief. Okay, we need to say what the Fed's going to do. There's some overarching factors here. But if anyone tells you we're not in a bear market, there's a lot of hopium going on in that person's mind. Bitcoin drops to a 6-month low. Ether eyes bearish cross as U.S. stock index futures erase early gains, right? So everyone's feeling pain right now. It's a very aggressive drop, guys. And there's reasons for this, okay? Not everything's going to fall off of a cliff at the same time unless there's real concern and worry about the macroeconomics, okay? Things going on a broader level. Lots of uncertainty in the market. You're going to see this type of thing, all right? Bitcoin fell to 33.6, lowest level since July 24th. We covered that. Leading cryptocurrency has declined 27% this month. Okay, they just give different numbers of decline, all right? Ether, second largest cryptocurrency, slid 10% to 2270 since lowest since July 28th. Native token of Ethereum's blockchain has lost 38% this month. All right, everything's bearish. Ether could soon see a Bitcoin-like death cross when the 50 crosses the 200-day moving average. We also don't believe in death crosses, by the way, here. Bitcoin has dropped over $10,000 since confirmation in the negative crossover early this month, right? When you see things like a death cross, can't you already tell that the market's kind of falling off of a cliff? All the death cross does is confirm that for you. All right, what we use EMAs for and moving averages is for confirmation of strength of the move. When you see the 50 cross over the 200, you should already know you're in bearish territory, guys. You shouldn't use that to confirm it for you. Just another way for them to kind of fool you when it comes to expectations in the market. Goldman Sachs predicted a faster pace of Fed tightening if inflation continues to rise. The heightened geopolitical tensions between the U.S. and Russia could be adding to bearish pressures. Okay, so maybe a couple of sparring words going on over there that people are worried about. Federal Open Market Committee will want to do some tightening actions at every meeting until the inflation picture changes. They want to see what's going on with inflation, right? Prices are going up on things, guys. I'm sure you can tell. Prices of houses, cars, food, everything going up. Okay, even services. People are charging more just for services. And why? Because there's an influx of money. They were doing all of that printing. All of that Fed printing leads to excess of money in the market. So people have the right to charge a little bit more. This is why they call it inflation. Prices are going up. The Feds want to raise the interest rates to make the dollar a bit more valuable so that prices can come back down. This is the entire play that they want to run. Okay. If they are able to pull this off by raising interest rates a little bit, then they've done their job. But if the inflation continues to rise, then they'll try to raise those interest rates a little bit more, a little bit faster. And if that's the case, you will see the market go into more bearish territory. That's the concern broken down, long and short of it. Now, how many rate hikes are there going to be? And Goldman was saying that they're going to do 4. Okay. The Fed fund futures are priced in for nearly 5. So no one really knows the real number. That's what we're waiting to find out. Ultra hawkish expectations perhaps leave the door open for a relief rally if the central bank disappoints market expectations later this week by sticking to its December projection of 3 rate hikes in 2022. All right, so no one really knows. The Fed's January policy meeting is due to start on Tuesday, and the statement and interest rate projections will be published on Wednesday at 1900 UTC. Very important time in the markets, guys, for us to pay attention to this particular date. You may see markets sort of react to things on this date, and how they react could tell you future tense on how things may move. I would be sitting on my hands right now. I would not be trading. I would not be getting into any positions. Now is the time to sort of just pop some popcorn and wait and see what happens. Taking a look at futures, the picture is not pretty as well. Everything's still flowing under the 13 EMA, and price just got launched off of it. But whenever price launches off of an EMA like this, right, and there's a big gap here, you want to see that gap recover. And I'm thinking that's what we may see going into Wednesday's news. We'll see though. If price continues to fall, then this gap will probably be recovered by Wednesday. It's funny how sort of the news and the markets move in conjunction, but the price will move before the news comes out, or the price will be delayed in its movement after the news comes out and people will think the news has no effect, and then boom, it happens, right? So be aware of how the media is played with price action and how those two things sort of go hand in hand. But there is a gap here that does need to be filled. All right. Also, when it comes to open interest, still very high. People still are speculating in this market. I would say that you probably have a lot of smaller speculators at this point. The larger institutions aren't necessarily participating like they were before, but definitely still a speculative market. When it comes to the commitment of traders, the smaller speculators are starting to think more short. The larger speculators are actually moving net short positions as well, and the commercials are sitting essentially net zero, serving the market up on whoever wants to sell or buy Bitcoin. Also, for bull versus bear power on the elder ray, bears still continue to have firm control of this market. Probably the strongest that it's ever been, guys, since they've had that drop, the first major crash that was in December 4th, right? And I had a feeling that the bears had control at that point, but we do have a sense of hopium when you invest in crypto, right? I think that's part of why our market still tries to remain strong in certain areas and certain coin survivors, because people just don't sell. You'll hit certain points in price, and if price breaks below that, you know, everyone kind of goes into a depression. But this is usually when the most buying comes into the market, right? When people take that decision, just pull that trigger and say, you know what, just let me get a little bit more dollar cost average in. And that's what's actually going to win the fight for us, guys, when it comes to crypto. If we want to turn around this scenario, right, the small buys at times like this are going to matter later. Right, I would not put a full bag into anything right now. There's too much uncertainty. We have not reached the bottom, in my opinion, and I can't really tell you when that bottom's going to come. But the Fed and interest rates and inflation all have something to do with the rest of the entire market and how it's going to react. Okay, guys, so we have to pay attention to the news. The macroeconomics matter at this point. All right, the money flow index, money is coming out of the market as well. Momentum down, PVT, OBV down, and accumulation and distribution all in negative phases. Okay, let's dive into the charts. Now, what we're going to do here is use a bit of a different approach when it comes to analyzing where price may turn around, because if prices are falling, what most people want to know is where the bottom is. Okay, the only way that you can really tell where the bottom is not necessarily through your technical analysis. It's going to be more through the actual order books, okay, and where orders are lining up and stacking up in relation to your TA analysis. Okay, so when it comes to our TA, there's really a few certain levels that we're looking for. Long term, we're going to be looking for areas of imbalance, because we know that price typically likes to go back to these areas of imbalance to refill gaps. Think about things like CME future gaps, right? Over the weekend, price trades, it moves from one point to another, from the close to the open, and price usually goes back to that area to fill that gap. The same thing happens on price charts in these candles during live trade hours as well. So think about it like this. In the market, live markets, right? Price will go on a bull run. Boom, push up very aggressively. What you're seeing is that there's not enough sellers to combat the buyers, so price will move very fast. So if the market has an imbalance of sellers to buyers at a certain point in time and price, it'll like to go back to those areas to say, hey, who wanted to sell here, right? That's the long and short of it. So think about price in that way. When you start to see price come back to these levels here, essentially it's seeking those areas of imbalance, and it does it high, it does it low. Depending on which type of higher time frame analysis you're seeing, right, whether the market is trending bearish or trending bullish, that's what you're looking for in regards to what price is seeking for these imbalances. So right now we're seeking imbalances to the lower side. 30K is an imbalance area, okay? There's other imbalance areas below that, and we can call some of them out for Bitcoin, okay? We also outline these for a number of different altcoins. But of course, 30K is a really strong level in regards to support. Why? Because most traders know that chances are Bitcoin may go to 30K. So lots of orders are starting to build up here. This is also an area of imbalance. There's also a few other areas of imbalance, and we've outlined them here with these dotted lines. So you have some here right around 27K. You also have some right around 25K. And if you go a little bit lower, you start to have them line up around 20K, right? 21K. And there's even some as low as 12K and 10K. All right. So when people talk about $10,000 Bitcoin, right? Reason why they're saying that this is the floor is because essentially this is where the last imbalance is in price. All right. When it comes to the floor of Bitcoin. All right. So that projection is not necessarily a bad projection because price could actually flow to that level. So let's take these imbalances off. What we want to concentrate on is where these clusters are sitting for all of the cryptos that we may be into. So we're going to cover a number of different cryptos today, starting with Bitcoin. Let's see where these clusters are lining up and where we may be able to find our floors. Okay. So when it comes to Bitcoin, as you can see, these single white lines are starting to get broken through, right? Because there's a lot more sellers in the market than buyers at this point, right? A lot of these orders here, they can be long or short, right? And I think at this point, anyone that's going long, they're getting crushed, right? There's just a lot more volume that are bringing trades short. So ultimately, everyone's selling at this point, and I think that the capitulation will start to kick in if price breaks below 30K. This is where I think most traders think the floor is. Now, we can look at any other crypto the same exact way, but what we want to do is in comparison to say, all right, if Bitcoin were to fall from where it is currently at 34,236, all the way down to 30,000, how would this affect other cryptos? Because we know that this market sort of moves in conjunction. We want to anticipate if there's other floors on other cryptos similar to the way that the floor looks for Bitcoin. All right, so let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at XRP. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that the real floor for XRP isn't really here, guys. Where is the real floor for XRP? The reason why I think this is because there's even more uncertainty on how the SEC is also going to play this, right? So XRP, guys, may fall a bit more, right? Below your 50-cent levels here. I think the majority of your strength is coming in right at 50 cents, guys. But if it were to fall below, there's not a lot to catch it here, all right? So I would say really anywhere below 52 cents, if price isn't supported here for XRP, you could see lower levels for this definitely as this thing continues to play out, right? So if Bitcoin goes to 30K and if XRP doesn't support itself right around 50 cents, you could see further moves and capitulation in XRP. Okay, taking a look at Ethereum. Ethereum also setting up a number of different orders at the floor here. So really anything below 2K, right, you're starting to run into a lot of orders here for Ethereum. So do I think that the majority of these orders here will be bullish? I think so. Okay, I don't think very many people want to short Ethereum under 2K, but if it does push this far and starts to push through these levels, then yes, you will see lower levels for Ethereum, right? So we're saying the Bitcoin floor is somewhere around 30. The Ethereum floor, I would say, is somewhere below 18, 19. Okay, if it breaks below 2,000, you could be in some trouble, but 18, 19 may start to be the place where you're going to see the majority of your pushback when it comes to these prices falling lower on Ethereum. Taking a look at Cardano, Cardano really is trying to set up a nice floor here somewhere around the 95 cents level. Now, if price were to crash back through this, your next levels of support are going to come somewhere around the 92 cent level. Okay, if it were to go below that, you're really starting to see your floor somewhere around 85 cents to around 80 cents for Cardano. Okay, if Bitcoin were to fall to 30K, I think you will see an 80 cents Cardano on the table. Okay, now whether or not these are good buying opportunities, we still need to be aware of what's going on in the macro to understand whether or not it's a good time to buy or not, because prices could come here and essentially just sit here, guys, right? All of the selling is stopped, but the buyers aren't convinced that they need to buy here. Until the tide swings one way or the other when it comes to the macroeconomics, you're going to sort of see us sit here in some of these areas here, I believe, for a little while longer. Okay, let's take a look at Avalanche. So one thing that concerns me about Avalanche is that they really had a very, very nice floor setup here, but it seems that some of these orders have come off and they haven't really moved any deeper into current levels, right? Maybe a little bit higher. But I would say that Avalanche still may be finding a floor somewhere here around 52 bucks if it were to crash through these two levels here. Just tons of orders just stacked up. One at 52, at the next one sitting at 50, then the next one is starting to build up at around 47, right? So looks like Avalanche does have quite a bit of support at these numbers, and if price were to go here, it should bounce. Okay, taking a look at MATIC. MATIC also setting up a floor here, starting to really thicken up, I would say somewhere around the $1.12 level. Okay, but you have three single line areas here, starting at $1.30, next one down $1.25, next one down I would say is about $1.20. Okay, so 5-cent increments. If price can break through these, your next real strong level of support is starting around $1.10, which would make sense if Bitcoin were to go to 30K. MATIC could definitely see the floor somewhere around here as well before it starts to consolidate and we see what happens next. Okay, moving on to Solana. Solana has had some negative news in the press, okay, which I think may drag the price down a bit more. You may see these levels here at around 79 start to get tested, as well as 74. Next level down is at 70 bucks. If you were to break through these three levels and orders don't pick up here, your next levels of real support start to seem to be clustering up right around the $62 level and lower. We want to see if these orders will continue to cluster up and build a bit deeper into the white lines rather than these yellowish lines here, because this doesn't give me a ton of confidence in Solana turning bullish if in fact price does visit these areas. All right, let's take a look at Cosmos. So Cosmos here gives a good example of when price starts to thicken up, right? So you can see that there was a ton of orders that sort of just got combined into this little block area and price just turned around from it, right? So this is what we're looking for the floors here as well. All right, we want to see where the clusters are. Now, right now, I think Atom is sort of scattered, right? They haven't really consolidated price into levels yet, but Atom seems to be supporting itself fairly well, even though the rest of the market is still down, right? Atom did have a pretty big run today. All right, so what we're going to do is take a look to see if these levels start to climb higher. If in fact they do, right, Atom may start to see some steam even when everything else is starting to go down a bit, right? So we want to see this action sort of consolidate and push up a bit to support the price movement in Atom. But so far, so good for Atom today. I would say that this is probably one of your top movers. And it does have support really starting at the levels of around 28. So if price were to come back down here, I think that a lot of this action will push itself up to continue to keep the upwards movement going. All right, when it comes to Polkadot, we see a number of different orders coming in here. Currently, I think that this is pretty positive. Looks like Polkadot really wants to find his floor somewhere here around 15 bucks, right? And you do still have some orders that are lining up here. Whenever you see these two white lines together, right, just very, very high levels of orders here. One 203, the other at 166K, right? So you do have support, right? All of these cryptos are starting to see some of their heavier support come in. Whether or not these are long or short orders, though, again, yet to remains to be seen. I think that most traders at these points, they're taking long positions because this essentially is the ultimate buying of the dip, right? If the crypto markets are going to stay strong in the way that people anticipate they will, these are the type of dips that you want to buy in. I'm not so convinced that we've reached the bottom. The majority of the stacking of the orders is still lower than where price is currently sitting, right? If they were really trying to push the price up, they will be coming in at the levels, current levels, or a little bit below them. Right now, they're still a little too far. So I think that most people think that price still has a bit more room to run to the downside. And that's why the orders are starting to line up in the books and they look this way. All right, we'll do a few more and we'll get on up out of here. Terra Luna, also anything under 60 bucks, you're starting to run into those levels of support. If we take a look left over here, we can see, right, Luna has been getting supported here at these levels, guys, right? And you're going to start to see things consolidate in ways, unless you get more bearish pressure from the top. Now, we can see that the bears are starting to show up here, try to push the price down a little bit lower. Luna may stay stuck in this range here, but tons of support on the bottom. You shouldn't see any really hard price crashes for Luna unless really the buyers just get out of the way. Okay, the graph looking like it's pretty desolate right now, man. Not a lot of orders, not a lot of volume in the market, not a lot of support for the graph, right? So if the graph is something that you're holding, this may be something that you may want to think about taking a loss in if in fact you are down in this, because the losses could get a lot worse, right? As you guys can see, there is not a lot of support here, guys. We really have to kind of zoom in to start to pick up these levels of support. Now, if there are going to be any, they're going to come in somewhere around the 30-cent level for the graph. Okay, so if the graph were to go to 30 cents, I think it's a pretty good buy. This is really where your only cluster is. There are some orders that are starting to try to fight back here, but for the most part, I think that the graph still has some room to swing to the downside here. Okay, taking a look at Chainlink. Chainlink, again, doesn't have a ton of support, but things are starting to cluster up right around the level of around 13 bucks. Okay, so if Chainlink were to fall to 13 bucks, you may start to see some support come in. Okay, you're seeing orders start to build up here in these areas. Not a ton of support, but the good part is that there's not a lot of resistance either. We see that there's not a ton to the upside here. If in fact Chainlink does get supported and starts to run, I think it could definitely run. Okay, let's cover AAVE. And again, AAVE, not a ton of support here below this price. Not really knowing whether or not AAVE will continue to seek lower prices. The first cluster that we're starting to see is somewhere maybe around 115 bucks. Not the best news for AAVE holders, okay? But if price were to start to fall into these levels, all right, I think it will probably start to find support. There's not very much below it after that, right? So this is sort of the last stand for AAVE, sort of sitting here at around 120 bucks. Hopefully this does come down to this level. If it does, I would not mind taking a buy if I start to see the bulls coming back into action at these levels. This could easily happen if Bitcoin were to fall to 30K. I think you would see actually lower numbers than this, and we would see whether or not the buyers are ready to support AAVE at lower numbers than maybe 100 bucks. All right, so yet to remain to be seen, but we'll see, guys. Everything looks very bloody, guys. It doesn't matter which cryptos we go into. We can do this for a number of different cryptos, right? I can go into Filecoin, I can go into Dogecoin, I can go into the different DEXs. I can go into all of them. They all pretty much look the same, right? They're trying to establish floors here with these clusters of orders. And if price were to reach these areas, that's where I think you may see your bounce. The news matters at this point. And I think we all have to sort of take a step back, sit on our hands for a while, because in order for them to turn around bullish movement, they have to bring a ton of weight with them. And that weight tends to carry over. If you're not prepared to deal with that type of weight, then get out of the way and let the bears play. That's what we like to say. I think that'll do it for today, guys. It's Maestro. Thank you for tuning in to The Long and Short. We appreciate you. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you feel this type of content will help you make better decisions in this market. We will continue to bring it. All right. Also, we are working on our first tutorial, getting ready to drop. We may drop it tonight, depends on whether or not I'm able to record the video. But we're going to talk about imbalances and liquidity. These are two areas in price charts that I think people overlook dramatically, because imbalances are places where price wants to go, and liquidity is what price needs to grab in order to make these moves happen. All right, so we're going to cover that in depth. We're going to show you how to find them on charts and how to take advantage of them. That'll be our first tutorial for our masterclass. All right, so salute. Thanks everybody for joining. We will continue to put this information out there for those who want to see it. It's your boy Maestro. It's The Long and Short. We're out of here. Peace.